This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Pete. He drives a big rig cross-country 2-3 times a month. Pete's one of the best wheel jockeys on the road. One of the toughest, too. But, like with all those macho guys, it's the woman who wears the pants in the family. Trouble started when Pete's missus, that'd be Marge, talked Pete into taking a vacation. Some vacation. You know the old saying, once a truck driver, always a truck driver? Pete and Marge decided to go down south for a little R&R and travel Pete's truck route. So they hitched up their trailer and hit the open road. Now, the thing about Pete is, he is a creature of habit. After driving big rigs for all those years, well, he was used to sticking to a schedule. He'd look at a map and figure that he'd be able to make it from, say, this truck stop to that truck stop in exactly so many hours. And being a creature of habit, that's what he did. He visited all his favorite truck stops, even when he was on vacation. But on the third day out, the pace began to get to Pete. He was getting kind of bleary-eyed and he needed to rest. Relaxing can take its toll on someone like Pete. So he said it was time to go home and suggested that Marge take over the driving while he went round back and got some shut-eye. Now, Marge had never towed anything bigger than a shopping cart in her life, but Pete assured her there'd be no problem. Everything on that baby was in tip-top shape. Marge slid over into the driver's seat. How hard would it be for her? Pete spread the maps on the bench beside her and traced out their route with a magic marker. Then he pointed out the controls and the dials that she'd need to keep her eyes on while driving the rig. He was sure nervous about not being in control, but what could he do? The road was beginning to look like a wriggling snake. So he dragged himself back to the trailer, got out of his clothes, and snuggled into the bunk, wearing nothing but his birthday suit, which is how macho guys sleep. 15 minutes later, he was just about dozed off when there was a lurch and the trailer screeched to a stop. Pete figured they'd only gone about 10 miles. The door swung open, and there was Marge asking all kinds of questions about the maps and Pete's directions. After the questions were answered, Pete settled back in for a snooze and they started up again. But after an hour, they stopped, real short. Tumbled Pete right out of the sack. The way Pete figured, they were at the crossroad of the I-19 and the 105. The door swung open. He was right. Is it okay if the needle on the thingy is halfway between the green and the red? Pete told her that it was. Marge looked at him for a second. Why are you sitting on the floor like that? That's what the bed's for. Pete settled back into the bunk. Marge drove for another hour and came to a stop. According to Pete's calculations, Marge had made it home exactly on schedule. Well, being dead tired and he thought in his own driveway, he could just streak into his house without bothering to put on his clothes. Problem was, while Pete was snoozing, Marge got lost and pulled into a truck stop. So, while Pete was getting out of the trailer, Marge was getting directions. She got back in and drove off, just after Pete stepped out. So there he was, naked. Totally buck naked. His wife and his trailer tootled off down the road, and he was a laughingstock of his buddies. The big galoops howled their heads off. Now, this is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. The other truck drivers did have another laugh when one of them called the highway patrol and told them to take Pete back to where he came from, the Sunny Buns nudist colony. I love it.